All right, guys. Hmm. Maybe this needs to be taller. That's probably what it is. How y'all doing? Good night. Welcome to class again. Schweinstein, you know what's popping. So, we touched on aspects last class, and I'm going to just go over them so you can understand before I move on to the planet Jupiter. Okay? Okay, so last class we focused on aspects. You can see this very well. We did conjunctions, sextiles, trines, squares, opposition. There's one more that we left out, which is the quincunx, which I will add in additionally, not right now, because I'm not gonna include them right now in your stage that you're in learning. But these 5 are what you're gonna be focused on. All right, that's awesome. Okay, so these are the symbols here, and these are the degrees that they are. And these are how many signs the way they are. As you can see, you have, again, conjunction, sextile, trine, squares, and oppositions. All right? Before we move on, I need to know if you have any questions. I don't see anybody online, but that's fine. You will just watch it over. Okay, awesome. Oh, we also touched on a chart that has most of those major aspects, which is Tina Turner. Let me try to add in. I don't know what's going on with this. It doesn't. Right. That's much better. That's way better. It's focus and everything. All right. So now we're going to look at the planet Jupiter. Let's get rid of this. This is put away in our review corner. Tina Turner's chart. And now we're on the planet Jupiter. Let me try to find my marker so I could draw for you. Okay. This is strange. I normally have a marker right here. Oh. All right, so the planet Jupiter. Now, what is Jupiter? You want to know what is Jupiter? Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system. It is the biggest planet in our solar system. I'm going to read a little bit from the book that we have so you can understand. Jupiter, planetary ruler of Sagittarius, symbolizes our search for meaning, truth, and ethical values. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, spinning so fast that it bulges at the equator. As Zeus in Greek mythology, he ruled the world from atop Mount Olympus. Jupiter symbolizes the principle of increase and expansion, while Mars directs the fiery energy in the direction. Jupiter expands like a balloon in all directions. Jupiter enlarges awareness through seeking a broader vision of reality, a vision gained through exploring the realms of philosophy, religion, ethics, higher education, foreign travel, full stop. Jupiter placement in the birth chart shows how we express our high-mindedness and ethical principles. The planet of joviality, Jupiter instills faith and hope in the souls of men and women. Through the workings of Jupiter, the entrepreneur dreams of the future business. The patient expresses optimism about the ultimate recovery, and the parent envisions a better life for the child. Through the centuries, Jupiter has been called the great benefic, the bringer of good fortune, benevolence, abundance, and prosperity. Perhaps this is because good fortune usually arises from maintaining a confident and optimistic attitude. It is the Jupiter function within that produces the positive expectations that later materialize as good fortune. Of course, Jupiter can become over optimistic and inspire false hope. This is where Jupiter's outlook needs to be tempered with a bit of realism and practicality. Another unskilled expression of Jupiter arises from exaggeration and excess. The fault of Jupiter are depicted by the phrases too much of a good thing can be bad for you. Too much food results in obesity. Too much faith produces poor judgment. Too much travel leads to rootlessness. Too much good fortune may lead to taking things for granted. Therefore, heavenly justice decrees that Jupiter be followed by Saturn, the planet of limitation. Philosophically, Jupiter rules the process of growth and preservation. While Mars provides the energy for growth, Jupiter rules the activity itself. Jupiter also governs the body's largest gland, the liver. An enlarged liver is a sure sign of overindulgence, especially in alcohol. And they list underneath skillful expressions: benevolent, broad-minded, generous, optimistic. The unskillful or unskilled expression is excess, exaggeration, misjudging, and pompous. Oh, guess what? I found my marker. So, besides what the book says, Jupiter is, like the planet of luck. It's the planet that shows you a person's spiritual belief and to some point their husband. Yeah, I said it. Their husband, meaning a woman being married to that man. Jupiter also expresses where you get luck and so forth. So this is the area, wherever Jupiter is inside your chart, it can literally tell you where you would get luck. The sign it's in and the house it's sitting in will give you abundance. I know it's getting interesting, isn't it? It is, because Jupiter, the first thing I look at is my Jupiter. I want to know, hey, where can I grow? Where can I grow when it comes to astrology and looking at my chart? And it led me straight to Jupiter. I'm going to just go into it if you remember exactly how Jupiter looks. Jupiter looks like a big old 4. So we're going to start with G-I-T-E-R. Jupiter. An expression of Jupiter is like a 4. So it's like this. You see that? That's how Jupiter is drawn. That's Jupiter, okay? Now, what is it? It's the planet. What does it naturally rule? The sign it naturally rules. So there's 2 signs it rules. Remember now. It rules Sagittarius. And it also rules, or the co-ruler of Pisces. Okay? So what does it rule? Sagittarius and Pisces. Okay? I'm going to also give you the amount of time it takes to rotate. So Jupiter stays in in one sign for 1 year. That's right. It stays in one sign. Yes, Ambi. 1 year. Good job. You've been doing some homework, some reading. Pretty good. So that gives you a whole year of luck. This is why some people get so lucky 1 year and the other year they're like, oh my gosh, like it's total opposite. I don't know what's going on with me. So it gives you that year of abundance and happy and stuff like that. Okay? Jupiter also can be happy, like we know, in some signs, and not so happy in some. But we're not gonna go into that right now because I also have to go back over with you guys the emphasis of dignity and stuff like that. So we're gonna look at other stuff dealing with Jupiter. Okay. So let's look at Jupiter in Aries. So let's just say we're gonna start with Jupiter in Aries. Jupiter. Sorry. So Jupiter is the planet of abundance, law. So we're gonna put law, abundance, growth, expansion, religion, philosophy. And let's just say, not even go inside the sign. Sorry about that. Let's go into the houses. So Jupiter in the first house, in your first house. We're going to go into the signs, but right now we're going to go into the houses. So in the first house, Jupiter expresses itself through the self. It expresses itself through the self. And remember now, we can add the principles of Jupiter, which is expansion, growth, philosophy, religion, spirituality in some sense. But expansion and growth and luck. What does this mean for luck for this person? This means that physically, their physical body can become lucky. It also will expand. There is a possibility of this person as time going older, as they get older, actually expanding, growing bigger. But it also makes them very, very lucky physically. They can also seem to be very optimistic. Because remember, the first house still rules the head. And Jupiter sitting in that first house can also attribute to that. Jupiter in the first house. So let's go into it. I want to go take a look at a chart so you can see, I give you an example of somebody who has Jupiter in the first house. Okay. Jupiter in the first house. Google Chrome. Sorry about that, guys. It just closed up on me. So Jupiter in the first, second, third, we're going straight into the 12th. Oh, I look brighter. I need more of this light on. You know what? Okay. Astro theme. Okay. So we're gonna get into one particular person, and this person is a famous one. I want to make sure that we're actually looking at it. So we're gonna look at Rihanna. Rihanna is an Aries rising, and her Jupiter is in Aries in the first house. How does that play out? If Rihanna isn't very careful and work out, you'd see her go from being a slim female being huge. I'm sure that you guys have seen how she's have expanded in the short period of time. She's pretty much expanded. And that is because of Jupiter sitting in her first house. So Jupiter in her first house makes her to be very lucky. She can present herself physically and bring abundance to herself. Remember, the first house deals with the physical body. So the more she exposes herself physically, the luckier she becomes. The more she expresses herself physically, the luckier she becomes. You realize that whenever she does a video and she is almost clothed, like, almost naked, she actually gets more sales. As she get older, she's gonna have to watch herself though, because she could possibly get a little too big, too fast. Jupiter in the first house also means that her philosophy, her beliefs, her sense of religion can rely on her own self, on how she feels about her religion. Jupiter in the first house can bring that. So check it out. And it's according to what sign your Jupiter is sitting in as well. If your Jupiter is sitting in the sign of Aries, then around the Aries time, especially when your Sun is conjunct your Jupiter, around the Aries time is when you are very much lucky. As a matter of fact, if your Jupiter is in Aries, there's a possibility of you being lucky around the time of Aries, around the time of Leo, and around the time of Sagittarius. But not as lucky as if you were, the time was around Aries time. You see, do you want to know why? Because of the aspects. Remember, Aries is trine to Leo and is also trine to Sagittarius. That means they are how many degrees away? 120 degrees away from each other, making them trine to each other, making them very much a very good relationship. So if your Jupiter is inside the sign of Aries, and Aries is around you, you are in your luckiest time. Okay? So what does it bring? It brings expansion to self. To self. It also brings self-awareness. It brings luck to the physical body. And it brings a sense of religion based upon how the physical body attributes itself to. So we could say that however they feel physically is how they feel towards religion. The more ill they feel, the more or less they feel towards religion. It goes hand in hand with their actual physical body. So I could say that their belief in God is truly an individualistic experience. So individual understanding of God. Okay? I know you probably can't see that, but you are hearing me talk, and I'm using this for reference so we could go back over it. All right, Jupiter in the first. Give you a very good example. Next up is Jupiter in the second. We gotta move fast because it's already 21 minutes. And Jupiter in the second house. Second house, Jupiter. And what's the second house? The second house is the house of assets, values, self-worth, your income, your movable assets, that is, the ones that you can move around. Also, what else? We're gonna stay with that until you guys find, until you understand, until you give me the answer to that. But with Jupiter, the planet of luck, sitting in your second house. So what I didn't explain to you guys is Jupiter also rules publication. Publication means publicizing yourself, writing a book and publicizing it. Remember, it's expansion. What's more expansive than publicizing? All right. Okay. We could go deeper and deeper into Jupiter, into also all the signs and the houses. As we grow, I don't want to overload you with information because it's a lot. So Jupiter in the second house of expansion of your assets, it brings you luck when it comes to your assets, your income. I know, right? I know you wish that you had Jupiter in the second house. Maybe you do. Who knows? Take a look at your chart and see if you have it. But Jupiter in the second house can bring you luck when it comes to assets and stuff like that. You know? It can also bring you a sense of self-worth when it comes to what God is, or philosophy, or any kind of religion. If you have Jupiter in the sign of Taurus, we just go and just give you an example. If you have Jupiter in the sign of Taurus, you could also, because Taurus is a sign of assets, it brings a whole lot of abundance, you know. So let's give an example of who has Jupiter in the second house. Jupiter in the second house. Can't believe it or not. So they have Jesus Christ listed as Jupiter in the second house. That's crazy, right? All right. We got a whole lot of millionaires and billionaires in here. But to name a few, persons that have Jupiter in the second house: Bill Gates, Donald Trump, Megan Fox, Jay-Z, Mozart, Orlando Bloom, Marilyn Manson, Robert De Niro, Russell Brand, Charlie Sheen, Winston Churchill, Margaret Thatcher. So we're going to go back up. Let's go all the way up. Let's go into Donald Trump. Donald Trump has I want to make sure. No, he doesn't. Are you guys tuning in? Sorry about that. The signal, sometimes it drops and it will drop you fast, very fast. Okay. So we're going to focus on Bill Gates' chart. And Bill Gates has Jupiter in the second house. That would mean that he has a whole lot of luck when it comes to bringing money towards him. So let me explain to you what sign is Jupiter's in. It's Jupiter is actually in Leo and is actually conjunct Pluto, which means the mass. Which means the more that he does something that affects the mass, the more money he makes. The more assets is drawn towards him. And he does that. He focused on something that was for the mass. You see? So, expansion of assets, expansion of self-worth, and this will also mean physical worth. This can also express itself as income. Lots of it. You can make money through publication. Overall, it is just a damn good place to have your Jupiter. It is a very good place to have your Jupiter, actually. On to the third house. Jupiter in the third house. But you can see how Bill Gates and his position of Jupiter would have helped him out, right? And Donald Trump and Orlando Bloom and most of these people who are multi-billionaires, millionaires who actually, get money towards them easily. In the third house. Jupiter in the third house. And who has Jupiter in the third house? Donald Trump, actually. Donald Trump has Jupiter in the third house. I'm going to give you another person. See, third house deals with your mental capacity, your siblings, stuff like that. All right? No, it is not there. Yeah, so, jeez. Are you guys following? I don't understand why you're not. I don't see any of you online. Let's go with another person. We're going to focus on another person that has Jupiter in the third. Okay, not him either. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know why it's showing 0. Okay, good. All right. I don't know why it's showing that you're not here, but I guess you are, and that's good. Thank you. All right. So, Jupiter in the third house will create an overthinker. As a matter of fact, Jupiter doesn't really, Jupiter can survive in that house, but these are so wrong. Sorry, I'm trying to find a worthy person that you guys know that has Jupiter in the third. Okay, so I guess we gotta stick with Donald Trump. So Donald Trump has Jupiter in the third house. What that means? It means that he gets lucky when it comes to meeting people and talking, communicating, dealing with travel. You realize that whenever he travels short distance, whether it be he connects with people on a very surface level. With his Jupiter in his his third house, it would have given him the ability to do very well in high school and primary school and higher education. He would have been seen as, like the jock, somebody who's just very, very lucky and expansive. But you realize that he thinks a lot. He probably doesn't even sleep much. So he overprocesses stuff, he overthinks, but Jupiter also will bring you luck when it comes to communication. See, even though the mass or the media actually worked against Donald Trump, tried to work against him when it came to communication. They tried to shut him down, and actually it worked for him. Even though they tried to shut him down, because his Jupiter is in the third house of communication, of the media, they couldn't help it. They actually fueled him. They actually gave him more life than they thought. Therefore, him reaching more people. But if these persons would have understood astrology, they wouldn't have given him the time of day. But Jupiter in the third house. House, Jupiter, brings about expansion when it comes to communication. When it comes to also not just communication, short distance travel. When it comes to communication itself, that can also mean magazines and books. Donald Trump sells and have sold a whole lot of books and made a whole lot of money selling books. So books, magazines, media. What else rules the third house? I mean, the third house rules. It rules your siblings. This would mean that if, and I think he was an only child, but this would mean that if he had, or if he does have siblings, I'm not sure, he would have a very, very jovial or happy relationship with them. What else? He has luck when it comes to stuff like cars and anything that deals with travel from a short distance, he would have luck with. Okay. Emails, and guess what? Twitter. Yeah. Which is actually connected to the 11th house, which his son is sitting in, but that's another topic. So it gives him luck in those areas. The more he uses that, which I'm sure that he does, I think he is very much in tune with who he is and how he's supposed to connect and do what he's supposed to do, that he's using astrology to gain more, which is pretty good. I think that's awesome. Moving on to Jupiter in the 4th house. And what is the 4th house? The 4th house is the house of home, is the house of real estate, it's the house of your roots, it's the house of your psychological makeup, your most nurturing parent. This could also be your mom, which is actually naturally ruled by the moon. Sometimes it could also be the father if he is the most nurturing parent. And we're going to look at one or two persons that has this. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's not Mark Zuckerberg. He does not have that. All right, guys. Sorry about that. That is as I was rudely interrupted. Okay, so Jupiter in the 4th house. We're gonna look at somebody who you. Okay, Aleister Crowley, Walt Disney. I don't know if most of you know what Walt Disney is. But that's not him either. He's not in the 4th house. Sorry guys, it's sort of hard finding somebody who has... Okay. Nope, him neither. I realize that Jupiter in the 4th house is... It's not very common of having... or being famous. But we have one or two there, I'm sure. Still haven't found any yet. But what I will do is I can explain to you what Jupiter in the 4th house does. So let's apply those principles of 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, it's very, very hard. I can't find anybody that's Jupiter in the 4th house who you guys would know. All right. So we got one. We have one, guys. I don't know if you know this person, but I'm sure you can explain it to you anyway. So Woody Allen, he was a musician, an actor. You know, he was considered to be also a pedophile. That has nothing to do with Jupiter in the fourth house. It's just the fact that most people that have Jupiter in the fourth house are not necessarily very, very, very famous for some apparent reason. But I have found somebody, and it's Monica Lewinsky. Famous for all the wrong reasons, right? Jupiter in the fourth house brings about a big home, physical home. Somebody who grew up in a beautiful, expansive home. Why? Because the fourth house rules home, the physical home. It also brings about, when it comes to your philosophy, your religion, your belief, it's normally connected to your mom or your mom's belief or your most nurturing parent, because the fourth house naturally rules that. With that experience, or that being said, Jupiter in the fourth house can bring you up a lot of luck when it comes to real estate, when it comes to expanding yourself through roots. This means that you came from a very, very large family. Why? Because Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and the fourth house deals with your home, your roots, your family. The fourth house also deals with the ending part of your life. And this would mean that the ending part of your life, that you may want to just explore. You may get very much philosophical, very religious, very, wanting to seek higher things, because it is the ending part of your life. Jim Carrey has Jupiter in the fourth house. And the ending part of his life, or I should say right now, as he's getting older, he's becoming a lot more philosophical than an actor. He's seeking higher knowledge and things that go beyond the physical body. And that is what happens with Jupiter in the fourth house. Learning and expansion. So, let's write that down. Fourth house. Fourth house, Jupiter. Deals with expansion of Okay, we're back. I'm getting all kind of calls. I'm sorry. So it is with the home, real estate, what else does it deal with? Your roots, which is your family, your ending part of your life, and it expands those things. It brings luck there. It makes you more philosophical when it comes to these things, where you came from. And according to what sign it's in, it flavors that philosophy. And this is applied when it comes to philosophy to all of these houses. We're going to stop at house number 6, and we're going to continue on to house number from 7 to 12 tomorrow. We're on house number 5. And who has Jupiter in house number 5? There's a lot of people that has that are very much very much rich. Yeah, I said it. Rich. Mark Zuckerberg has Jupiter in the 5th house. Yes, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, has his Jupiter in the 5th house. So I'm explaining his own so you can understand how that ties up with him. Like, why doesn't he have a whole lot of children and stuff like that? With his Jupiter, it's sitting inside the 5th house of Capricorn, because he's a Virgo rising. And it's sitting in the 5th house of Capricorn. And the 5th house deals with your creativity, your romance, your things that you find fun. All right? It deals with your children, luck and expansion. Luck and speculation, that is. And because he used his business or his creativity in a business form, it brought expansion to him. Does it make sense what I'm saying? The more that he expressed his Jupiter in his 5th house through his creativity, the more luck he gained from it. And anybody can experience that with Jupiter in the 5th house. Just know that if you have Jupiter in the 5th house, your creativity can bring you abundance. This could also mean that your first child can be like a teacher. Very, very lucky child. Why? Because the 5th house rules children, but not only does it only rules children, but it also signifies your first child. It does. So with Jupiter being in the 5th house, this means expansion through your creativity, through your children. Your children also brings you luck. Children itself bring you luck. Romances, you get pretty lucky when it comes to romances and dating, and when it comes to, lottery or gambling, because Jupiter now makes you very lucky in that area. Do you ever meet those people who actually win a whole lot of money? And you're like, why does this person keep winning and you can't win? Maybe they have Jupiter in the 5th house. I'm just saying. So, with Jupiter in the 5th house, or 5th house Jupiter, you can have luck, expansion through your creativity, through romance, through your children. You can have, so Jupiter is said to the persons who have Jupiter in the 5th house to have a whole lot of partners sexually, because in order for you to make children, you gotta have sex. So it's closely associated with sex, the 5th house as well, not just the 8th house, the 5th house as well. So it can bring a lot of sexual partners. Now don't go look into your ex-boyfriends and your children's chart and see the Jupiter inside the 5th house and be like, oh Lord, you's a hoe. Don't do that. I didn't tell you this. Okay. Oh, luck through speculation, also gambling. Okay. What else? Romance, creativity, and things that are fun. Okay. So fun things. Let's look at. So we got six. So Mark Zuckerberg, because Facebook is actually fun and it's structured and ordered. He actually tapped into his Jupiter more than most people would. Not that he knew about it until later on, but he's a genius, pretty smart. Uranus in the third house, Virgo rising. Very smart guy. Now, to the last one, Jupiter in the sixth house, when we're going to continue the Jupiter series tomorrow. Jupiter in the sixth house. Now, what is the sixth house? The sixth house is the house of service. It's the house of health. What else is the house of? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, oh yeah, so it's the house of service, health, work. Those areas is what the sixth house rules. And what does it do? With your Jupiter sitting in the sixth house, it brings you a whole lot of luck when it comes to you giving a service. Like what? What do you mean? Yeah, being of service, helping out in a more in a very intangible way. I want to give you somebody who has Jupiter in the sixth house, and it's Oprah Winfrey. She has Jupiter in the sixth house. I know what you're thinking. You're saying, what it has to do with like her? She doesn't. But she has Jupiter. Yeah, but yeah, you could say career, but not necessarily career. Career is naturally ruled by the 10th house, and the MC is rules your career. It rules your work, your service. And with her Jupiter sitting in the sixth house of Gemini, which rules communication, mass, connecting and educating. She brings a service through her media, which brings her even more money. See, because her Jupiter is sitting inside the sign of Gemini, which deals with the media, communication, and the service network, which is the same thing. She brings abundance to herself. Take in mind that she didn't have all that money until she got into the service of communication, of writing books, of service, of how to do this, of how to do that, using that analytical connection of the sixth house, of structuring things and putting things in order in a certain way, how to live healthy. You know, these things is what she capitalized on and made herself a billionaire. I'm going to give you an example of another person that has this placement, because we're on our final minutes. And not saying that everybody does it, because not everybody knows these things. We give it one last person so you can understand. Scroll down. There's a lot of people. Okay, so this one is, we're going to look at, see if Mariah Carey has this because it's showing that she does. She doesn't. She has Jupiter in the 7th. Which is the reason why she gets married so much. I don't know if you know this person. His name is Vincent van Gogh. Yeah. Do you know who Vincent van Gogh is? No? Well, I can't even explain. Okay, so Alexander the Great. Let's look at Alexander the Great. We know exactly his time of birth. We know his rising, which is Aries. And we know that his Jupiter is in the 6th house of Virgo. What that got to do with anything? It's absolutely nothing to do with nothing. You retracted your message, Amber. Ambi. Why is that? Okay. Let's look at somebody who passed on. Let's look at Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers. You know who she was? You know that she was very, very much known as the fashion police. And she had Jupiter in the 6th house in the sign of Virgo. She got a lot of luck when it came to analyzing people and criticizing. Remember now the sign of Virgo is the sign that deals with criticism. Sorry, thought I heard somebody. So she actually became more famous and got a lot of money through criticizing and analyzing people. I know she was a pain in the butt, but she expanded through that. We're going to stop at Jupiter in the 6th house. And we're going to continue on tomorrow because we are at a full hour now at the 7th house. So if your Jupiter is sitting in the 7th through the 12th house, be very patient with me. We will get to your Jupiter. Or you can just ask it in the group, in my PM or in the group. And I rather prefer you asking us astrological questions in the group because somebody may be thinking the same thing that you're thinking or want to ask the same questions you have. And you may be doing them a very good service. So thank you for tuning in. Astro Einstein here. And we will connect tomorrow in class. Have a great night. I know that's a lot of fingers, eh?